Hi, it's me again with Corel Draw Tips and Tricks, and here's a neat little trick to do with the ellipse and the Smart Fill tool to help you out a lot. We're going to take and bring in an indexing line. Let's go from the bottom. Hit P. Now let's Control D this circle, Control D, grab the rotation and put it right here and rotate it 30 degrees. Control D, Control D, Control D. You've got a totally different pattern. Now, let's see how big this thing is. It's almost 22 inches. Let's set our nudge factor on 25, and let's take the Smart Fill tool. Fill in that shape, that shape, that shape, that shape, and that shape. We got back to a circle, correct? Well, what I did that is just to get those other lines out of the way. Now we're going to get rid of this, and we can nudge this thing right back. Now here's the cool part of this. Those are lines. We're going to make those lines other than a hairline, and we're going to cut this out, so we're going to change it to inches and change it to 1/4 of an inch lines. Okay? We can actually left click, well, no, we're not. We're going to take those lines and go up to object and convert the outlines to an object. We're going to left click, right click, just to kind of show us what's going to happen. Now, we're actually going to group this together, Control G, Control D to make a duplicate, move our center rotation to that node. Make sure you're on that node so I would look at it. And we're not. So let's zoom in because we want that dead on. And that we want that dead on, so if you're close, sorry about that, spammers. And now we're going to rotate this 30 degrees. See, that almost makes it exact copy, so we know we're good. Control D again to make it 60 degrees. Control D. Now what we're doing is making this pattern. I think we're there. Now there's no way to really weld this. It's just not going to weld. Matter of fact, we're going to group this together, Control G and hit P, put it in the center of the page, which has nothing to do with anything. We're going to make this a little smaller. Now is where you want to use the Smart Fill tool because it's going to help us out a lot. Now what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go to Object and I'm going to group it, I'm going to ungroup it, and I'm going to grab it and I'm going to use the boundary tool to make a boundary and move that out of the way. We're going to need that in a second. Now take your Smart Fill tool. We're going to set it on black. We're going to grab that part. And if you kind of stay in one part, you'll know you didn't do it twice. And you can also look right over there to see which ones you've done or haven't done. And you could also Smart Fill this and rotate it. But I think this is pretty cool to give you an idea because what's happening, I'm smart filling, but I've got the lines there. And trying to talk and do this, if I wasn't talking, I wouldn't. It doesn't really matter if you duplicate. It might be easier to go around the edges first and then come back in. Well, we've got that one already, so hit delete instead of calculator. But get your Smart Fill tool, fill that one in. And I'm not even looking right now. And maybe I should, but you can kind of see what's going on. Whoop, duplicate, so hit delete. Just a couple more. And what this has done is put lines between our objects. So let's nudge this out of the way. Let's nudge this back over to the center. And let's left click, right click. Now we've got lines that are all welded together. And if we bring in our boundary tool, nudge it right back over. It's a little bit big because it doesn't cover the entire thing. So let's go to Effects contour to the outside with rounded corners, 0.125. Go up to object, break contour apart, grab the center one and it's red, so it's out of the way, and move that over. And now we have a contour that's 0.125. Now, for some reason, that line is a little bit bigger, and I don't know why. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. If yours does that, you just kind of back up. Now let's take the Smart Fill tool. There is a little problem right there. I don't know what happened there. Take your Smart Fill tool, fill that in. And so it is bigger on some of those. I must just be a fraction of a hair off on my rotation. And then let's move that over and left click, right click in hairline. That will cut out and kind of all stay together. The center piece will stay as a flower and it'll expand outward. Yeah, I'm off on my rotation, just a minute fraction of an inch, but that's why this one's bigger than that one. Anyway, pretty neat little project if you wanted something really delicate, because these are 1/8 of an inch. Now, just a word of warning, when you do cut this out, these pieces are going to break, but if you have it in the laser, like up in where you cut it out, and before you pick it up, take blue painter's tape and cover the entire surface, pull it out of the laser, go to your sanding station and turn it over and sand the backside. And then that way these pieces that are right here will not move, and they'll protect those 1/8 inch little pieces of wood if you have them all. And then tape the newly sanded side, and then take the tape off the front and resand it, and you've got a pretty neat design. And there's other things, you know, somebody the other day, we made a clock. Well, you could do the same thing with this. Let's get rid of that dot. Let's make sure we're in the center. Let's group, well, let's tell you what, let's use the red one, because I know it's ready. Let's hit P, put it in the center of the page. And you could take a circle for your clock, make an ellipse, hit P. And there's a lot, you know, depending on how big you want it, hold down the shift key and have it grow from the inside out. The shift key makes it grow from the inside out. And then you could just take your virtual segment delete key and swipe through there. Now in this case, you could have done probably back minus front, but if you take the virtual segment delete key, then these pieces will be joined together, and the center piece will be solid. Let me just go ahead and finish it, and I'll just show you what we're talking about. Just a moment of silence. Whoop. If you ever hit anything wrong, just back up. Now, if that happens more than once, you probably didn't miss it. There we go. I did just miss it. And then take your Smart Fill tool, and now you've got a solid place to put the clock movement. And I mean, you could just keep going and going and going. You know, like, you know, you could do different things like this is 12, 1, 2, 3. This would be perfect. This would be perfect for a clock part. You could even embed numbers into these holes, or start, you know, something. Make this solid. I might make a second video real quick on how to make the clock part solid. Hope that helped. Thank you for watching.